Welcome back to Hope and Heels. I'm glad you're with us.
Hi, it's your girl, Jess the Mess.
I'm Loops. So today we're going to be talking about stress. Jess, did you know that today, November the 3rd, is National Stress Awareness Day? Did you know that?
I did not, but thank you. Now I'm going to remember that.
Now we're going to remember. We're not going to stress it though.
No.
So I think that a lot of people these days stress a lot. Would you say yes or no?
For sure. Every day, every hour.
Why do you say that? Tell me a little bit.
Because I fall under that category
Oh my God,
of
so
being
do
a
I.
stressor.
Really?
I've gone better, but
What's one of the things that you stress the most about? Would you say?
on a daily, I stress about my husband all day long.
Marriage.
No.
Just your husband?
His health.
Oh, okay, that's a big one. Oh yeah, I would say that too. But I would say that about me, like my eating habits, my weight definitely stresses me out sometimes because I'm mid-age, you're young. Wait till you get to my age. It stresses me out, and I think a lot of people do stress about little things and big things. We're talking about stress. What do you think are the little things that people stress about?
How they look, maybe? I mean, everything could be a stress. Anything, how you look.
Right.
What you're gonna wear, where you're gonna go for lunch. Maybe might be a little stress because sometimes, it's stressful to figure out what you want to eat.
Stressor.
Yeah. Well, no one can decide.
Some of my coworkers, yes. At 10 o'clock at my work, they'll be like, what's for lunch? I'm like, really? You're stressing that right now at 8 o'clock?
That's a big decision.
It happens. Mm-hmm. So what do you think is one of the things that we can do to de-stress? Let's give some hope hacks.
For sure, go to the Word. Always go to the Word. But I know it's easier said than done. And sometimes we want to live in our stress moment, live in our stress problems. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when I stress and I'm not finding myself going to the Word, for sure I work out.
Oh yeah, you
That's
do
a
really
good
good in that
me.
one too.
Yeah, I have to. I think that if I go a day without working out, which is lately it's been a lot of days, it makes my days worse. Like it doesn't help. Like I stress about working out, but when I don't do it, when I don't get it done, then everything else really bothers me.
It does compound it.
Yeah. So when I do work out, I feel like I've at least accomplished that one thing, and so whatever's around me, whatever's bothering me, I'm like, I worked out, nothing can get to me. But
I have to agree with you. That happens to me too. A lot of times I don't want to work out, but not working out, it just adds to the slump or the sluggish, and that does not make me feel de-stressed. It makes me feel stressed.
Yeah, it feels worse than what you probably were already feeling, and then it just adds on because then you start stressing, oh, I didn't work out.
Yeah.
So then you're like maybe not wanting to eat something heavy, but then you end up still going and eating something heavy. So it just brings bigger stresses. More
Funny
stress.
how that works.
More stress on stress.
But it's true. I really do like what you said. I go to the Word. I really am a Word person. I listen. I do a lot of podcasts, a lot of studying, videos, reading. I'm a bookworm, but definitely that is something solid in my life that de-stresses me. I like meditation. I like thinking on my own a lot. Before, when I wasn't such a follower or a studier of the Word, the stress of thinking by myself, those bad thoughts or the worries or the anxieties of life, those would get to me. So you have to make sure that whatever you do to de-stress, that it's something positive, that's something good.
For sure.
And that it's something that's going to work for you, because whatever works for Jess the Mess might not work for Loops, or whatever works for Loops doesn't work for
Right, because some people go into painting, some people might have to declutter their house or clean, or, some
Mine's
people...
always cluttered.
So you don't stress in that area.
No, it stresses me, but it's still cluttered. I love that.
Oh my God.
I mean, I am honest and I can say that. And sometimes just being honest
For sure.
makes you feel de-stressed. I mean, sometimes we need sisters and friends that will just listen.
Right, because you can be stressing and talking with someone helps it, you know. Same thing, some people go for walks, you know. Some people, like I said, they paint, maybe they play board games. I'm sure there's so many different things that I don't even know or think of that probably would help me too, besides, you know, working out. But like Lupa says, something that's going to be for the good. Obviously, you know, if you're stressing and you're worrying and you go out there and you pick a fight, that's going to get you into more trouble, you know. Or you go out there and you go somewhere you're not supposed to be and you're stressing and worrying, and you know, really it could lead to a lot of different things, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I love also like looking at photos that take me somewhere. Do you ever do that? Like you said, painting. Well, that's actually doing it. She's very creative, so that's like very hands-on. But me, somebody that's not creative, I like to look and really admire the beauty and stuff. Like all my New York pictures.
Reminisce on
Girl, I can look at them
back.
and it takes me
back. Oh, you know what?
back.
That's the way it is when I look at my Hawaii pictures.
There you go.
And I'm like, I'm gonna book right now. I want to go back, right? Like, I love Hawaii. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, then I'm gonna stress over.
And then we're gonna stress over
the bills, right? Because we booked the fabulous trip.
But it does. It takes you somewhere that you're not. It takes you away from the moment, and when you come back to it, you have clarity, you have a new mindset.
For sure, a new mindset. And if you don't have the new mindset, then no, it's going to still stay there.
It is, yeah. So those are just a few hope hacks. I do like the scripture in Isaiah that says that if we focus on Jesus, that he will give us peace. It says in Isaiah, I will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is stayed on me. And that really does make sense. Like if we keep focused on Jesus, he will keep our mind at peace. Yeah.
Well, because you think about it, stress and worrying of the enemy.
That's all it is.
So when we're not focused on his word and we're over here worrying about this and worrying about that problem, we're not focusing on what he wants us to see, what he wants us to hear.
Right.
And we're giving everything else, all our energy to the enemy's baby.
Yeah, we're opening the door and we're feeding it, we're nurturing it instead of nurturing ourselves. Oh, that's a good topic. So we were talking a little bit about this. What do you think about stress, not only in your mind when you worry and have anxiety or just cares of the world, but what do you say, Jess, about stress in your body? Does that exist? Do you think that it would manifest or show itself up somehow?
For sure. I can be candidate to that because, like I said, I stress, right? It's a worry, I guess, more of a worry because my husband works 7 days a week, sometimes 17 hours a day.
Yikes.
Exactly. So
there's only
I'm a wife.
hours in a day.
Exactly.
And he works 17.
And he probably sleeps 5. You know, so I have to hold down the fort. And as a wife, I worry for him because he might not come back home because he's overworking himself, right? And so that's another worry that turns into a fear.
Correct.
And so I don't try to ever show it, but I stay worried. I stay constant. I'm looking at my phone, making sure he got to work, you know, but I have to also live life. You know, I have to run my household. I have to prepare for the next day. I have to take care of myself amongst the children. So there is times when I notice and I have bald spots. So that's what a trigger that happens to me. So that's how for sure I know that stress takes over and hits me when I'll mess with my hair and I'll feel hair growing and I look and there's like a big bald spot here or here. So I don't know if y'all noticed, I have a lot of baby hairs, and it's not just baby hairs, it's because I've lost hair when I stress. And 10-12 years ago I went through a bad where all this was bald. Like I had to go to the doctor and get injections and get creams and stuff because stress. It was a stress. And so that's how I know when I stress, I see the bald spots. So that takes over my body. And so when I see those, what happens? I get worried, like, oh my gosh, we're a woman. I have bald spots.
That's when you notice it and you take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, you know, then I can't wear my hair certain ways and I have to, you know, there's nothing I can do because I'm letting that stress and worry take over my immune system. And then I get weak. And then sometimes if I get sick or a cold, it takes me longer to heal. Okay. Because my body is just not strong enough.
And that actually is a very common thing with the hair loss and stuff, the stress. I can testify to that because I've prayed for people that have bald spots because of stress, because of this or that. It doesn't matter. As long as it's in your mind and it's eating you up, it does come out. It does manifest. And I think now that you're being very honest and open with us, I think that I can share the same thing myself. Like really, when I stress, I see that it manifests in like a sore throat. For sure. If I am stressed, I don't know what I do. Like, I don't know how that happens, that it manifests on me. Physically, I will get a sore throat. So if ever I am like in bed, or you know that I'm taking cough drops or something for a sore throat, it's because there's been a lot of pressures of life. There's been a lot of thinking in my mind. And that's the one thing that I know for sure. It shows up. And I hardly ever get sick. But when I do, I promise you, it's my throat. My dang throat.
Yeah. And then what? Because you can't use your words.
Oh, I like that. She's speaking in the spirit now. And that's, girl, you're on it. No. You know what? The devil would like nothing more than to shut me up.
And what happens with me? I start to get embarrassed, right? Because I have spots and then I don't want to go anywhere.
So you don't show up.
I don't show up. Oh, I don't want to get dressed because there's pieces of my hair missing that I don't like the way I look. So then I'm like, no.
Yeah. But for me, if I can't talk, I'm not going to go. What's the point, right?
Yeah.
So we give up.
But I started praying for myself. I don't know if it was you or someone told me,
you asking
start praying for yourself. Or I don't remember what. I started praying over the bald spots. Like I started, God, you're going to, laying hands on myself to, because he can do it,
Amen.
So that's one of the things I started doing. But this stress and this worry right now, we're in a season, and so I know right now that I have to just keep praying because my husband's the provider, and no matter what I say or do, he's gonna stay providing. But I continue to give this to God because I know God's the only one that's gonna open the door for him, have him see. God is the only one that is strengthening him and making him, get up every day, giving him the strength. I couldn't do it.
True.
I could not. I don't know how he does it, and like I said, all through God, because I can't do it.
Yeah,
I could not get up. I barely can get up.
You barely want to get
work
up
at home, and he has to go do a job.
Let's give honor where honor is due. Our men are hardworking, and all men really that work and get up and provide, they're hard workers. So we cannot, not give them that. But we just want a little bit of space for us. I can see where you're talking about that. So I like what you said. The only thing you could do is give them up to God. How does that happen, really? Let's share with some of our viewers who may be saying, well, it's easy if you read the Bible and say a verse, but how do you let something go to God and not take it back?
Well, for sure is not, because if I don't give it to God, who am I giving it to? Him.
Yourself or
and me, right? I'm either going to be complaining, I'm either going to, cause an argument, or I'm going to push his buttons like every single day.
That.
So if I do that, then what happens? An argument, a disagreement.
It's gone nowhere. You still
it could blow up. It could turn for the worse. It could turn where the enemy wants it to go, right? So, nope. God, you handle him. You know where he needs to be. You know when the time is coming, and I know it's coming. I can feel it. Yesterday I finally had him, after I don't know how many years he's been working these crazy schedules, but he finally agreed to my prayer, like without even me having to say anything. Like he was in full agreement of my prayer, and I'm like, thank you. Like
Amen.
finally, but on his own, so that's how I know. That's how I know God's working.
She's right. That's exactly like the tip or the clue or the evidence that you can tell, because like she said, if not, you're the one that's being affected. And if you're the one that's being affected, you can tell. But if your husband or your friend or a family member, if they're being affected in a negative way, then you can tell that you have not released it to God. So that's perfect, Jess, that you're saying that. I love that God will show himself. He will reveal himself. He will let you know that he's speaking to you. And that's one of the things that we can tell for sure that you've released it to God. It's one of my favorites because I don't want to take that stress, and I don't want to be a burden or a hindrance to my husband or my friends or my family of dumping my stress on them. Can you imagine what would happen if we all like literally had God to just lift our stress to? I mean, families would be healed, marriages would be very much thriving instead of just chaotic all the time. It's really interesting how much stress can impact your life.
And then we give it to our children.
Oh my God! Okay,
or
so
your
that's
pets,
another
because
one.
pets too.
They
Pets are your
sense it,
babies,
right?
and yes,
Yeah, she's right. Even the children. I'm not a pet person, but she is.
I'm not a pet person either. My pet just
He feels it. Well, let's talk about the children. The children for sure feel it. We were actually learning about a study on stress and how these people conducting the study were telling the signs, like physical signs that you could see on children receiving all that stress. And they would come out through, like the babies, if they were still wearing diapers, they would test the diapers for the urine samples and stuff like that for the, cortisol, the stress hormone. And they were filled with the stress hormone because they were stressed because of the parents. Not because the parents were doing anything to the children, but because if we're arguing, our children can hear, they can see, and they can feel all that stress. And then they have to release it somehow, right? The poor babies. But yeah, we have a lot of influence in that area. We encourage everyone not to stress. I would say, please de-stress. Learn what works for you. I love taking walks. Maybe that's another, example. Like Jess said, take a walk, just get away. Look at the flowers, look at the sun, look at all the beautiful things that God has prepared for us for our daily life, literally.
because you matter. So if you need that time, whether it's 30 minutes away, an hour,
Yeah.
that doesn't make you a bad person. That doesn't make you a bad parent, because you're trying to take care of it's not okay to be okay, right? But it is okay to not be okay, but not forever. You can't live like that forever. You can't live like that on a daily. I mean, you can, it's your choice, but it's going to affect your household.
At what cost?
It's going to affect your workplace. It's going to affect you on a daily. And we're only given this one life, right? I don't know how many more days, hours I have here, but if I'm living in stress and I'm living in worry, then
It's not worth it. It's not gonna be
I'm going to
long.
leave that to everybody else,
Yeah.
So it is scary. It is something to, think about, and it's easier said than done, right? Like, oh, well, right? Because some people stress over their bills. Some people are stressing what are they going to, buy groceries and
Right.
things like that. So they're like, well, you don't know my stresses, or you don't know my struggles. And you're right, I don't. But I want to know. I want to be there. I want to help you. We want to help you.
Yes.
We don't have all the answers, but we've gone to God. And, Lupe might read scriptures. I might not sometimes. I might not always read my word, but it doesn't mean that I don't know who's there. I don't know who's not going to help me. I don't know who's not going to provide. It's every page, every scripture, you can Google stress, Bible verses for stress.
Yeah.
You can Google Bible verses for your partner, So that's the things that I do when I don't know which Bible verse to go to.
Yeah.
I ask Google, okay, Bible verses for husband and wives, Bible verses for mother and child, and then they come up. So then I dig into the word. And then
you're armed.
Yes, and then I'm geared and I start to learn and I start to know. But there is times where sometimes I don't go to the word first when I'm stressing.
Yeah.
But then that just makes everything more,
Those
it makes
are
it tough.
auto-responses.
Yeah, it's tough to deal with. Or if I don't go to the word first and I figure, let me do it myself. Let my flesh take care of it. Let me handle it, because I know, right? Because I'm strong in that way. Oh yeah, I know.
It
still ends up being a mess. Where I end up focusing back to God.
Yeah.
So
Either way, right? 'Cause
either way.
There's nobody else like God. There's nobody like Jesus. There's nobody like Jesus. So on this November 3rd, 2021, National Stress Awareness Day, we really want to bless you with great thoughts today. De-stress. Be kind to yourself. and be kind to others.
Yes.
And
Be a mess, but with no stress.
oh, I like that, Jess. She's always, I told you she's creative. On that note, we will see you on our next episode. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace. Bye.
Bye-bye.